I'm quite sure I understand it. The script you've been forced to follow since you were young. You've been called too sensitive. You've been pressured to build a thick concrete shell over a soul that was designed to be as sensitive as an open eye. You've heard it a million times. Why can't you just brush it off? You've likely wasted years feeling ashamed of your own burnout. But I am standing here, right now, to show you something. The title you've been carrying is fundamentally wrong. You are not damaged. You are not delicate. And you are certainly not a mistake. Know this. It's actually the very thing that makes you, well, you. But you be the judge. In clinical terms, you have high sensory processing sensitivity. But let's find a name that actually fits. You are an ultra-precision receiver. Most people are streaming their experience in a standard, low-quality format. But not you. Your mind is recording every second in a massive 8K cinematic stream. Today, we explore the brain mechanics behind it. We will prove that your depth is not a flaw. It is a complex information-gathering mechanism, and the world urgently needs it. To understand yourself, we have to look at your operating system. This isn't an attitude problem. This is physiology. Studies confirm that your nervous system handles input differently than the other 80% of the population. Think of a standard mind as a net, catching only the big fish while the rest of the ocean flows through. But your mind? Your mind is a silk filter so fine that it catches every grain of sand, every microscopic pearl, and every single drop of salt in the water. Neuroscience has pinpointed 3 distinct modifications in your circuitry that explain why everything feels so heavy. First, your brain has a wide open gate. Neurologists call this a lack of sensory gating. Most people have a security team that turns away 90% of the noise. Your mind has no bouncer. It stands with its arms wide open, inviting every flickering shadow and every distant whisper into the center of the room. Your brain labels everything as important. The scratch of a wool sweater, the flickering light bulb, the subtle tone of a barista's voice. You process it all, simultaneously. This is why you crash. But it's also why you perceive the nuance, the art, and the hidden dangers that everyone else walks right past. Second, your empathy centers are on steroids. This lives in the insula, the place where we process inner feelings. You don't just see a storm in someone else's eyes. You become the lightning rod that catches the strike. You feel the electric jolt of their sorrow as if it were coursing through your own veins. Third, the operating system leads to elaborative encoding. Deep, semantic processing. When you're asked a question, you might feel like you're lagging behind. You criticize yourself for freezing up or stalling. Stop. Look at the science. You aren't stalled. You are cross-referencing. While others read a single line of text, you are walking through a vast library where every word pulls 10 other books off the shelves. You are linking this moment to 10 years ago. You are projecting 5 years forward. You are analyzing every subtext. You aren't hesitating because you are empty. You are hesitating because your brain is running a massive algorithm to find the optimal path. That is not a defect. That is supercomputing. Now, you might wonder, if this is so exhausting, why didn't natural selection breed it out? This is the crucial piece. If high sensitivity was a liability, evolution would have discarded it in the Stone Age. But it didn't. It protected it. Why? Because the herd needs you. In the ancient world, the soldiers were necessary. They were reactive and tough. But a tribe of only soldiers would go extinct. They would march into the ambush without seeing the signs. The tribe needed sentries. You are the human equivalent of a canary in a coal mine. You sense the invisible gas of trouble long before the rest of the workers even notice their breathing has changed. That is you. You were the one who smelled the smoke before the fire was visible. You were the one who sensed the predator in the grass. Your anxiety is actually a prehistoric survival mechanism. Modern life is loud, it is chaotic, it is unrelenting. It is designed for the soldiers. That is why you feel wrong. But do not confuse being mismatched with being broken. I know that running this high-bandwidth system comes with a tax. Because you download so much data, your battery drains faster. When you hit a wall and need to retreat, it's not because you're weak. It's because you've been drinking from a fire hose of data all day and your inner vessel is simply filled to the absolute brim. Science offers a framework for this. Most people are like rugged off-road vehicles, built to bounce over any rocky path without a scratch. But you are a high-performance jet engine. You can reach heights they will never see. But a single stray pebble in your environment can cause the whole system to shudder. There is a theory called vantage sensitivity. When an orchid is placed in a greenhouse, with the right humidity, the right quiet, and the right nutrition, it doesn't just survive. It flourishes with a vibrancy and potential that a dandelion can never physically match. You don't need to callous yourself to survive the pavement. You need to transplant yourself to the greenhouse. When you engineer your environment to respect your bandwidth, you don't just keep up with the world. You outperform it. So, here is my advice. Stop trying to compress your file size. You cannot rewire your neurology, and you shouldn't try. The world has enough shallow processing. We don't need you to be more numb. We need you to be fully tuned in. But you must steward your energy, enforce your limits, respect your need for recovery. The next time someone tells you that you are too intense, take a breath. Smile to yourself. Remember the facts. You do not have a glitch. You are just processing the raw data of the universe. And in a world that is increasingly superficial, your capacity to feel deeply is not a weakness. It is the only thing keeping us alive. Perhaps that's the real reason you felt like an outsider all this time. It wasn't a lack of strength. It was an abundance of clarity. Because you have this sensitive receiver, you might have stayed on the sidelines. You read everything, you watch everything, but you never comment. To the algorithm, you look invisible. But psychology suggests this lurking isn't fear. It might be a totally different type of intelligence.